Welcome to the Impact Show with your host Samuel Akanwin and Kimwin. Guys, it's a great pleasure to be here tonight. We've got a lot to go through in tonight's show. Just before we get really into tonight's show, what I want you to do is let me know in the chat that you can hear me properly. Let me know in the chat that you can see me properly. And then we are going to go straight in. All right. Just by symbolizing, ready to go in the chat. We've already got Osa Kimwin in the chat. Thank you ever so much, sir. Blessed to go. I appreciate that. We've got Mrs. I Can Win admin in the chat, ready to go. Love that. Guys, let me know in the chat that you can hear me and you can see me, and we are going to jump straight into the value for tonight's show. I hope you're looking forward to tonight's show. The Impact Show is going to be full tonight. We've got so many insights that love to share with you guys as we basically push forward. So first and foremost, I'm going to share with you guys, as I usually do, our disclaimer for the episode, and straight after that we're going to keep pushing forward. One thing that I just want to share is, guys, we've hit 25 episodes and this is a landmark. You know, I'm really impressed that we have been pushing forward, going strong. And in light of all of that, what we've been able to do is put ourselves in a position where we can help you move forward in your property journey. We've had so many people that have reached out over the period of time who have asked questions. We've had so many people that have said, look, Samuel, you know, I need your support in this way, in that way, etc. And it's through means of supporting these people that we've seen people move forward in their property journey. So guys, look, I just want to say a great big thank you to every single person who subscribed, every single person who's been on the journey, every single person who showed up to any of these lives and have allowed them to be of value to them as we've been answering questions as it pertains to your property journey. So guys, look, let's keep it up. Let's keep on going. Let's keep on making it happen. Let's keep on supporting those who need the help, because there are so many people in the property space who need the help, who need the support. And to be honest with you, for many of those people, they don't even know where to go. They don't know where to start. So just by pointing them in the right direction, by saying to them, oh, you know what, you could do this, you could do that, or, you know, even further to that, you know what, go watch the live show Saturday 6 p.m. You'll have Samuel on the show who'll be able to help you try and answer your questions, etc. Guys, for many people, this is a great thing for them to be able to get value absolutely free to move forward in their property journey. All right, now, first question I want to start with in tonight's show is, who have you helped? Okay, who have you helped? We've just had a whole week since the last episode 24, since our last show. Who have you helped? Have you been out there? Have you been supporting people? Have you been helping people? Have you been pushing people forward? Again, guys, this doesn't have to be about their property journey. Doesn't have to be who have you helped on their property journey, but who have you helped? Who have you pushed a little bit more forward in their life, in the things that they are focusing on? So without further ado, let's jump straight into the disclaimer. Then we'll jump straight into the show for tonight's episode 25. So the disclaimer reads, all information provided and results given are exemplary. Each person's results may vary or differ. Results are based on consistent strategies, and we advise that you always seek legal and financial advice from a qualified professional. Guys, what I want you to always remember is we are here to help, okay? So that's the only intention we have here, to help you through means of giving you insights, sharing with you, and working in order to help you move forward in your property journey. So as I've mentioned, let me know in the chat you can hear me. Let me know in the chat you can see me. And we're going to jump straight into tonight's content. We've got quite a few things to share tonight. We have a text message that I recently received in terms of a question, which I want to really try and spend a bit of time on tonight's show talking about. Side by side with that, we additionally have, what else do we have on tonight's show? We've got another text message that came through. This is a little bit of an older text message. It wasn't from this week, but this text message just indicates what's actually happening in the current climate. So that's why I wanted to share that. And the third thing, there was another thing I wanted to share on tonight's show. I can't remember what it is, but we'll get to it. Okay, I've got it here. It's a Facebook post that I saw earlier on in the week, and I just thought, you know what, we need to share that. We need people having this insight. We need people being able to be aware of what's actually going on in the world today. All right, guys, so if you're ready to go, let me know in the chat you are ready to go. Let me hear, let me see, let me read in the chat the term ready to go, and we will get straight in. Ready to go, ready to go, ready to go. Let me know if you're ready to go so we can get straight into tonight's show. Looking forward to what we're going to be doing tonight. A lot of value to be shared. A lot of value to be shared. And side by side with that, look, guys, if you're watching this for the first time, let us know in the chat. Just write first time. If you're someone who's been on the show before, you've been viewing the show before, let us know here before or here again. And side by side with all of that, I hope everybody's got their questions. I hope everybody's ready with their questions, because no matter who you are, no matter how long you've been in property, you've probably got some questions. And guys, I've even got questions, okay? I didn't come into property without any questions. I have questions too. There are times where I have questions, and that's when I have to reach out to the coaches, the people that are connected to me, in order to find out additionally what I can get as an answer in terms of what's happening. Absolutely fine. So guys, let me know. Let me know if you got questions. Send those questions in as well. So without further ado, let's jump in. I've got in the comments the ready to goes. Let's jump in. First and foremost, let me say to you also, if you haven't already, why not hit like, why not hit subscribe, and why not be a part of our channel by hitting the bell notification so you can stay up to date with every single piece of information that we have, that we're able to share as and when it becomes available, and as we drop new videos, because when we drop new videos, we want to share them with you. We don't want to keep those videos to ourselves. We want to share those videos with our community. So this is what it's all about, guys. So first thing I want to start with on tonight's show, I think it's only right to start with this. This is a text message. Yes, it's a text message which came not to my phone, okay, not actually to my phone, but it's something I spoke about on one of the previous live shows. So I wanted to definitely make sure that I could basically bring it up and share it with the community, because there's going to be people in the community who have received a text message like this. And I think it was 2 episodes ago, we had someone saying that I believe it was Halifax they were banking with, but they said Halifax was doing exactly the same thing. Halifax were doing exactly the same thing. So I'm going to read this out to you. It says, hi, just to remind you, this was a text message someone received. It says, hi, just to remind you that your savings rates will reduce on the 28th of July. For more information, search interest rates on their website, your Barclays team. Okay, so guys, I want to share this with you because I want you to be aware, okay, that there are people out there right now in this current climate right now. Okay, we've just transitioned into a brand new month, and there are people out there right now who 2-3 months ago received this message. 2-3 months ago, they may have 50,000, 60,000, 50p. It doesn't even matter how much money they have in their bank account. But what matters is there are people receiving such messages from their banking institutions. Okay, just look, have a look, read this for yourself. Okay, read it for yourself. Okay, because when I see things like that, it causes me to question. And sometimes the question I'll be asking is, why are you still banking with them? You know, why are you banking with them in the first place? Like, is the purpose of banking with a bank for you to just leave your money there and for your money to just catch cobwebs, if we use that terminology? Okay, and that's a question I genuinely ask myself, like, why are people banking with these organizations? Now, I'm not saying by saying this don't have a bank account. That's not what this is. This isn't the don't have a bank account rant. Okay, if anything, this is quite different to this. But what this is really is, know why you have a bank account, know the purpose of your bank account. And the reason I'm saying this is because I want you to understand this. If the purpose of you having a bank account is to generate returns, is to generate interest, then you need to question whether the rate of return, whether the interest you're receiving is a viable rate for you to continue to do so. If it's not a viable rate, then you should do something about it. Okay, find someone who you can invest with, find someone you can work with, find a project, a property project for yourself that you can get into. All right, and I'm just saying these things to encourage you guys, because I want you to be aware that whilst banks are reducing interest rates, there are investors, entrepreneurs, etc., who are increasing interest rates, whether it be for their stakeholders, their shareholders, or whether it be for their investment partners. Okay, so I just want you to be aware of that. Whilst banks are decreasing interest rates, turning the interest rates down, there are investors, entrepreneurs who are turning interest rates up for you, for me, and for anyone who wants to get involved. So again, I just want to say that to you. If you do not know why you are investing in a bank, okay, and I use that term specifically, investing in a bank, then reassess. Ask yourself the question, should I change things? Do I need things to happen a different way? Because right now, they don't seem as though they're working. So I just wanted to open up the show with that today, because I just thought that would be a great way for people to get a real flavor and feel of why you might need to do some different things, why you might need to make some changes in your investment game. Okay, so that's where we wanted to start with. Now, are we gonna do it? Yeah, we're gonna turn the phone line on. We'll turn the phone line on, and then straight after turning the phone line on, I'll come back to one of these other posts that we have. Actually, let me jump into the second thing. I'll jump into the second thing first. I think it's only right to keep, what do they say? Adding salt to the wound. So let's do that. Okay. And guys, by no means, please do not take this as a personal dig at any human being. Okay. We have removed the names on these posts, on these texts, messages, etc., to protect the innocent. Okay, and I hope you understand what I'm talking about. Basically, the point I'm making is this is not personal. Okay, I'm not saying, ha 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 at anybody. I'm not laughing at anybody, but I just want you to know the reality of the environment we're in right now. So when someone in early June receives the text message I shared with you guys earlier on, this is not me laughing at them. This is me saying to the whole world, to every person who's watching this video, whether you're watching it now live, whether you're watching it on a replay in the future, that you need to assess the decisions you make. You need to assess why you're using a bank, why you're using a retail bank, why you're using a commercial bank, why you're using any bank, why are you using a lender. You need to assess these things. So this is a Facebook post that I saw earlier this week, and it really touched me, actually. It actually struck a chord with me. For some of you who know me, for some of you who've been watching our videos for some time, you've probably seen the video how I got into property. And that's on our YouTube channel. Again, link will be in the description after this show. But if you go and watch that video, how I got into property, I talk about my mum being made redundant. Okay. And the funniest thing is, I saw this post this week, and like I said, it struck a chord. I'm going to read it to you. It says, the person thought their job was safe. Okay. That's how they started this post. Very, very powerful statement. They thought their job was safe. Then they went on to say, unfortunately, they was made redundant on Monday due to COVID-19. Okay, simple post. Okay, I'm not reading it because it's a complicated post. I'm not reading it because it's a comprehensive post. I'm not reading it because of the intricacies of the post. I'm reading it because of the facts in the post. Okay, the consideration that this particular person, just like many people, considered, believed, perceived, thought that their job was safe. But on Monday, they were made redundant due to COVID-19. Now, look, let me share something with you, because you might have just seen that, read that. You might be seeing this on the screen, reading this, but not realizing the ramifications. Now, the thing that was powerful for me about that post was the simple fact that by the time I saw the post, I think it had only been posted for about 10 hours, not a long period of time. The post had multiple comments on it, multiple. Okay, I went on to comment as well, but the post itself had multiple comments on it. And for me, it really touched me. It really struck a chord, because I thought to myself, well, wow, this resonates with people. People are engaging with this post because it resonates with them. It's making people think. It's making people ask themselves questions, maybe even questions not only of themselves, but questions of the current climate. Okay, and this is stuff we really need to be mindful of, because there are so many people who may be thinking that, oh, it's not going to affect them, or, oh, no, it's never going to get to them, or, oh, no, they're exempt from this or from that. And one thing I learned quite young, I learned from my mum being made redundant, that redundancy doesn't announce itself. That's the way I used to say it to myself. Like, redundancy does not announce itself. And I do not say that to say run away from a conventional job. No, that's not what I'm saying. I say it to say, know why you do what you do. Question why you do what you do. Scrutinize why you do what you do. Don't just do it because we were in a school system and the school we went to, everybody there said to us, you're going to have to get a degree. You're going to have to get a job. You're going to have to do this. You're going to have to do that. Because the reality is you don't have to do anything. Okay. You can do things different. Frank Sinatra said he did it his way, if you know the words to the song. So I just want you to really realize that. I want you to bear that in mind. Okay, there's a different way you can do things. You can do things in a way that is congruent with your values, not necessarily always following after the values of other people like so many do. So this is what I really wanted to share with you guys to start tonight's show. Okay, maybe it's a bit of a somber tone. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with being serious. There's nothing wrong with being somber. There's nothing wrong with starting the show off with the right energy, but from a reflective space. Okay, because there are so many people out there hyping people up. There are so many people out there telling you, yeah, you know, you can do it. Let's do it. Let's do it tonight. Let's do it right now. You know, the reality, yes, you can do it. Yes, you should do it. Yes, you can do it tonight. Yes, you can do it tomorrow. But the reality is, if you're not thinking, it doesn't matter what you do. It's only a matter of time before it all gets diluted, okay, and crushed. And then you're just saying to yourself, why was I even doing that in the first place? So consider your ways. Think about why you're doing what you're doing. Be ponder on things. Ponder on things. Be contemplative. Be the kind of person who takes a moment and works out, is this good financial sense? Is this good practical sense? Is this good for me? Does this line up with my more moral standing, my moral viewpoint, etc., and so on and so on. So guys, hopefully you've got value just from those 2 shares already. Okay, a text message that someone I know received, and secondarily also the Facebook post. Now we've got another text message I received, which I spoke to you guys about a moment ago, but we'll come back to that. What we want to do is open up the phone lines right now. Again, like I said earlier, feel free to hit like if you're getting value. Feel free to subscribe and also hit the bell notification so we can move from the 270 something subscribers we've got all the way to the goal of the 1,000 subscribers that we're aiming for and beyond. Let me put it that way, and beyond. So guys, let me know if you're getting value. Write in the chat the word value. Phone line is open right now. As you can see, numbers right at the bottom of the screen, 0330 606 0403. And also you can utilize the access code 695922. And by utilizing that telephone number and also the access code, you can be on the show live with your host Samuel I Can Win a Kimwin, and we can basically discuss through any specific property questions you may have. Now, as that is all done for you now, one of the things I wanted to do, if I can be permitted, hopefully I will be permitted because I'm going to try and make this happen, is I want to share with you guys a text message. It's a text message I received this week. Again, I've kind of got someone in the team to take out the names of people in the text message, just as a bit more anonymous. But I wanted to get this text message on the show so you guys could see exactly one of the questions that was recently asked of us. And you can make your own opinion. You can form your own opinion. But this is effectively what I wanted to spend a bit of time on tonight's show, not only talking about, but also sharing about, sharing my views on this, and how I think people should be navigating this particular process. So hopefully we should be able to get this up. Text messages are always a little bit different to get up, but let's see if we can do that. Okay, good stuff. So it's on now. All right, so guys, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to read the text message to you so you know exactly what I received. And then from there, I'll start to break down kind of my view on it. So the text says, hey, Samuel, this was received yesterday, Friday. Hey, Samuel, hope all is well. They've been doing some research and was wondering, as they and the person they're talking about are first-time buyers, and as I know their plans for the house in terms of for them to buy property, they were thinking if it's best for their, the person they're planning to buy property with to only be on the property, as the person texting me still wants to get their own property at some point. And they go on to say, what do I think about that? So this for me was a great text message to receive, because it really starts to dig into the realities of some of the things we need to think about when we're investing in property. I remember sharing something on last week's show, which I think is extremely powerful. And that statement was, property ownership and property investing are 2 different things. Okay. And I'll say it again, property ownership and property investing are 2 different things. Now, the reason I want to start with that kind of quote as I talk about this specific text message is because the person who's sending this text message clearly understands there is a difference between ownership and investment. And because of that, they're saying, well, we were planning to buy this property together, but now we're considering one of us buying the property, and in the future that allowing another one of us to buy a property. Now, again, I believe it was Lady L I believe that was the YouTube name, Lady L, who was on the show last week. And Lady L was also asking about similar things to this. Is it better to go and buy your first property as a buy to let or as a residential, etc., and rent out a room? And we spoke about mortgage fraud in depth. We spoke about a few other things. But for tonight's show, what I really want to focus on, rather than the mortgage fraud aspect, hopefully those of you who haven't seen that, you can go watch episode 24, which we shot last week. And again, on episode 24 of the Impact Show, we were breaking down Lady L's question as to what decision she should make in terms of the acquisition. Now, the reason that's powerful is because the person who sent this text message in is someone I've already had that conversation with some time back, which is why they've said that I understand what they're attempting to do in terms of the property purchase. Now, these are the things I want to really highlight in terms of this specific message and in terms of this specific approach to buying property. The first thing is mortgageability. Okay, and I share this because it's fairly important. Okay, if you are not unless you're buying cash, okay, unless you've got the £700,000 in your bank cash, or the £200,000 in your bank cash, or the £100,000 in your bank cash, depending on where you're buying in the country, it might even be the £40,000 in your bank cash. But the point is, unless you're buying cash, you're effectively going to be buying with some kind of financial product, thus some kind of mortgage product. And the thing to be mindful of, the thing to remember, is if you're actually buying a property with a mortgage, then there's a certain amount of that property that will be funded by the mortgage and a certain amount that's going to be funded by you, i.e. the deposit. Now, the reason I share all of that is when you buy a property with somebody else, the reason you should do that generally is because the strength of the two of you, financially, economically, as it pertains to credit referencing, is stronger than the strength of any one of you. And if you are attempting to purchase something that any one of you on your own couldn't purchase, but you now have access to being able to purchase it by coming together, then obviously if the return on investment makes sense and all those other things, then that's a great reason to partner with somebody, okay, in terms of the process of buying a property. When I say partner, now what generally tends to happen is you will find two people who in some cases don't need to partner in order to buy a property, but they will partner. And when they do partner, sometimes what the issue is the fact that later on down the line, they can't take advantage, neither of them can take advantage of the benefits that were present to them at the time of partnering. So for example, a first time buyer would not be expected to pay a 25% deposit typically on their first purchase of a property. Okay, so if person A and person B are both first time buyers and they decide to buy together, one of the ramifications of that, one thing they need to be aware of with that, is that their ability to buy as first time buyers is quenched, it's utilized at that point. Okay, so first is mortgageability. Okay, do you need person B in order to be mortgageable at the level you're trying to acquire, you're attempting to acquire? Now, in many people's cases, the answer is no. In some people's cases, the answer is no. Obviously, being based in London, there are many people where the answer is yes. Without working with someone else, without leveraging up, their mortgageability would not allow them to hit the threshold that they need in order to buy a specific property. So again, it's things that you need to be aware of. And this is why for me, it was so great when this question came in, because the question really, really highlights how you have to look at this. So the second thing I want to share, besides, the mortgageability, is all about the numbers. Like financially, does it make sense? Okay, because if you're going into a property deal that doesn't make sense financially, there's probably no reason for you to go into the deal. It's probably best you stay away from the deal. And this is something that many people miss. Many people don't realize. I know there's been a few times, let me not say several, but there's been a few times that I've heard said speakers, I've heard specific people in the property space talk about how you can just go and do it regardless of what the numbers say, because you'll get experience under your belt. And listen, let me be transparent with you guys. Look, I'm all for experience. I'm all for as much experience as possible, but I'm also for common sense. And when I say that, what I mean is there is no point in you engaging in a property transaction, a property deal, when you know, or when you start to realize that you are going to generate not close to no income from that property. Okay. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because every single property you buy, in most cases, is going to require a financial commitment on you or from you towards the lender. Okay. And it's that financial commitment that, when it goes wrong, creates a problem and becomes a problem for people. And this is the reason why, rather than leading you astray and saying to you, yeah, just make it happen, just buy the property, and then after you buy another one in your name, the problem is you have to look at the intricacies, you have to look at the numbers, you have to ask yourself, financially, does it make sense? Because if you sink all of your deposit money into one property that someone else's name's on, and then a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, 6 months later, however long later, you are now ready to buy, to acquire, and you can't get that lump sum back, that could make it detrimental, if not even impossible, for a person to be able to take those steps, for a person to be able to then buy. So these are the things to think about. So as a first time buyer, you might be privy to a 10% deposit, a 5% deposit. In this current climate, we're probably looking realistically around 15. So kind of just budget for 15 and you should be good. And what that means technically is, if you're buying £100,000 worth of property, you should probably be paying around a 15% deposit as a residential homeowner or residential home buyer. Whereas an investor, someone who is a buy-to-let investor, a HMO investor, etc., typically they're going to be putting down a 25% deposit. So what that means for them is, for every £100,000 of house they're buying, they're going to be paying £25,000 out of that. Okay. Now, this stuff is crucial to understand, because if your deposit is going to increase, for example, with every 100,000 by £10,000, then you need to know you're buying the right thing. And not only do you need to know you're buying the right thing, you need to ask yourself, in 6 months, in 8 months, in 12 months, in 24 months, am I going to be in a position where I could potentially do this again with a friend or with my brother or etc. Okay. So in a nutshell, coming back to the text message to kind of give some value for that specifically, what I'd say is this. The first thing I'd say is, if you feel comfortable that you have deposit funds for both sides of the coin, i.e. deposit funds for your contact, your partner, your brother, your person A, to be able to buy, utilizing their first time buyer discount or their first time buyer privileges, let me use that terminology. And then very soon after, if you know you already have the deposit funds, or you can very quickly raise the deposit funds, or very quickly get access to the deposit funds for your own, then I would advise you to go and do your own secondarily. Okay. So I would say, again, the two factors that I've said are very important. The first one is mortgageability. Okay. Your mortgageability is essential. It's going to be a key part, a key driver in assessing whether you go forward or not in the predicament we're talking about. The second thing outside of mortgageability is making sure you actually look into the factor of, what is the plan? What is the schema? How's this going to work? After person A goes and buys with a 15% deposit, if you are lending them, loaning them, supporting them, helping them with some of that deposit money, when you are ready to buy, are they going to be ready to help, support, and lend or loan you the exact same or more, if that is what is needed? Because obviously property is a market. Prices fluctuate. Prices are going up. Prices are going down, etc. Some prices are stagnating, etc., etc., etc. So I want to just say that and share that with you guys as a community. Listen, if you're thinking like the person who sent me this text, of taking full advantage of your first buyer rights, do that. Okay, I'd encourage you to do that. But if you've got questions around, should you partner with someone else who's a first time buyer as well, for them to basically get some leverage or whatever it is, just bear in mind the fact that the requirements are different. The requirements are different on the mortgages. The requirements are different on the amount for the deposit. The requirements are different in terms of living arrangements, etc., etc., etc. As mentioned in last week's show, episode 24, it's not legal for you to be able to take a mortgage on a property and then go and do something completely different with that property. It's not a route that the lenders generally favor. So as a direct byproduct, you don't want to be that person who's made an example with a £20,000 property fine. Just as I'm just throwing that out there. You don't want to be that person. Nobody wants to be that person who the government or who the courts deem should be the scapegoat for more other people to realize, we shouldn't be doing this, or this isn't the way to do it, etc. etc. So hopefully that's been of value. Let me know in the chat, guys, those of you who are watching, if you got value from that specific answer and response to the text message that came in. And we'll be happy to keep pushing forward on the show as well. And guys, those of you who are watching, if you've got additional questions, if you've got questions that you've been thinking about in terms of property that you wanted to ask, guys, send the questions in. Let us know in the chat what your questions are, so we can definitely work with you, support you guys, and help you guys move forward during the Impact Show. Excellent. Excellent. Good stuff. All right, so this allows me to now push on. It was great to get that text. So again, thank you guys for sending in your questions as and when you do, in all of the varying formats that you guys do as well. Now, what I want to do on tonight's show is I want to share with you guys a resource that has really been of benefit to me, probably over the last 2 years more than anything. And it's a resource that I know will be of benefit to you. It's an audio book which I want you guys to go and take full advantage of. Okay, this audio book is called The Business Secrets from the Bible, and this audio book was originally as a book written by Rabbi Daniel Lapin. So you can go to the link www.impactproperties.co.uk/business secrets. That's impactproperties.co.uk/business secrets, and you'll be able to get your own free copy of the audiobook of The Business Secrets in the Bible, or from the Bible. Now, the reason this is going to be beneficial to you is for several reasons. One of the reasons is because in order to get this particular audiobook, all you've got to do is sign up for a 30-day free trial of Audible. And if you decide to cancel your trial, if you decide, you know what, I don't want to continue with this trial, you can cancel from as early as a day, 2 days, 14 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours, etc. But you still keep the book. Okay, so I would encourage you, if you have not read the book, The Business Secrets from the Bible, if you're interested in reading that book, take full advantage of the offer that we've just given you guys, as this is for us considered basically as a key resource. Okay, it's a key resource in terms of mindset, in terms of thinking, in terms of how to place things as you move forward. And one thing I'll say to you guys, because many people don't realize this, or maybe they don't think about this, property investing is a business. I'll say it again, property investing is a business. There are not enough people who take property investing seriously as a viable business. So many people treat their property investing as their side hustle or their side hobby. But what you have to understand is the ramifications of property deals going wrong is so big, so large, that it makes more sense to equip yourself. Okay, it makes more sense to put yourself in the right space. It makes more sense to actually work with the right people so that you can be in the right predicament throughout your journey. Okay, and sometimes that takes asking people for help. Sometimes that takes looking into, yourself and being more contemplative. Sometimes that takes saying, you know what, you made a mistake. Being honest, and that's what I'd say, being honest with yourself, because again, it's a key attribute of the people that are doing well. They're honest with themselves. When they realize they need to make a change, they make the change. They employ whoever they need to employ to make the change. They do whatever they need to do to make the change, because making the change is the most important thing to many people who understand just exactly who we are and how we are, our true makeup, if I use that terminology. So I want to encourage you, those of you who are watching this show, to just take full advantage of this resource, Business Secrets from the Bible. Start to see your property business as a business. Start to ask yourself what KPIs, for those of you who don't understand what KPI are key performance indicators. Okay, start asking yourself, what are the key performance indicators in your business? Okay, start asking yourself, what kind of marketing do you need to be doing in your business? Start asking yourself, what else do you need to do to make things work or to make things better? All right, guys, so I want you to take full advantage of this key resource, the business secrets in the Bible. And side by side, whilst you do that, if you haven't already, if you've never seen this, go and take full advantage of the link under this banner here, www.sourcingblueprint.com. Go get the free blueprint. The ebook is absolutely free, and it will help you move forward in your property journey by sharing with you 4 key areas, 4 key core areas that you can focus on in order to become much more successful in your property journey. All right, so we've got a comment here from KTR. KTR, welcome to the show. I'm glad to have you on today again. KTR had some great questions last week as well. So again, thank you for your questions and your comments. So KTR said, hi Samuel, I noticed that putting 10% allowance for void and 10% for maintenance in a rent-to-rent property deal calculation very often make the deal not work. Very, very true. Is it not too much, and what do you do? Great question. 2 great questions. All right. So first question, in terms of, is it not too much? Excuse me. I would start by saying that depends. Depends on your location, depends on what you're inheriting. I.e., when I use the term inheriting, I mean in rent to rent, depends on the type of property that you're taking on board. Because some people take on properties that, if I'm going to be really honest with you, they lend themselves to having high costs of maintenance because the houses are in a bad state and the people do not necessarily invest the funds up front to make sure the house is in a good enough state for them to not have to keep going back to that scenario where they're paying money on things in the property. Again, another thing I'll say with that, just to help anyone who's watching this who's a renter, just be mindful, guys. Be mindful of the products you put in a property, you know, how you get those products basically placed in or integrated or installed into a property. I'll give you some examples. If, for example, you are renting a 6-bedroom HMO and you have a washing machine and dryer in that property, you know, let's say it's an integrated system, it washes and dries together. If that thing goes down, if that thing breaks, the question is, how do you repair that? Okay, if that's your responsibility, for example, okay, because some people's rent-to-rent contracts, that wouldn't be their responsibility. But if that is your responsibility, the question is, how do you remedy that? Do you remedy it by buying the exact same machine because of convenience? Oh, the tenants already know how to use this one. If I buy this exact same machine, I'll have no headache from the tenants, blah, blah, blah. Do you buy the exact same thing to give yourself peace of mind? Or do you say, you know what? What's going to be the best machine now for the household? Okay. Now, the reality, I'm going to be very transparent with you. The reality might be the best machine right now is to not get a combination washing machine and dryer together. That could be the best situation. Now, why might that be the best situation? Give you some examples. One of the reasons it might not be the best situation is because you might realize that when you get the integrated systems, when one goes down, they both go down, which is obvious. And the issue with that, which means people cannot wash their clothes nor dry their clothes using that machine anymore. So that might say to you, okay, I've got to buy 2 separate machines. And then when you go and start to search for those 2 separate machines, you might very quickly find that it is more expensive to buy 2 good quality separate machines than it is to buy one with the integration. Why is all this important? The reason it's important is because what many people will do is they will go the cheap route. They'll say, well, look, it's a rent to rent, you know, it's not worth that much money. The best thing I can do is go and get the cheapest machine, or I can go and get the combination machine because it's just cheaper. It costs less. But this is the problem. If it costs less, but it creates a larger propensity, a higher proportion and probability that it's going to break down again. And again, like I've shared a moment ago, when one breaks down, they both break down. The problem with that is you're going to be maintaining it again. You're going to have to buy a new one again, or you're going to have to get it repaired again. So I want people to be, again, mindful of this. And again, I'll throw this out there. For those of you who are maybe new to property, you might not understand about rent to rent and how that strategy works. One thing you have to understand as well is if you are managing a property in the formation of a HMO, like I do. You know, many of the properties that I control or own are HMOs. Now, if you are managing a property that is a HMO, please, please, please understand this. The wear and tear of that property is massively above the wear and tear of a single let property. So, by virtue of that, going back to KTR's question, you will need to put something aside for maintenance. Now, to finish off on the first part of KTR's question, I do think 10% voids and 10% maintenance is high. That's me personally. Now, the reason I think is high is because in the areas where I invest and in the areas where I do rent to rent on HMO properties, I find that there is such a strong demand for tenants that a 10% void is not it's not realistic. It doesn't fit the criteria of the environment that I'm investing in. So it's important for you if you're sourcing, okay, because I know some people who are watching this are into property sourcing. I know certain people might be just starting their journey, and I know that there are certain people who are really focused on rent to rent. We get a lot of questions around rent to rent, a lot of questions around sourcing, and a lot of questions about, you know, people being new, starting on their journey, and etc. Now, obviously, some of you, obviously, I know because some of my coaching clients have massive portfolios as well. So, depending on where you are in the journey, the point is this: HMOs generally tend to use more resources in terms of wear and tear as a byproduct of wear and tear. So, because of that, you're going to have to put money aside. However, you need to check out your specific area or areas to find out whether it makes sense to operate a HMO or to operate a house which is really intensive in terms of its use on things because of the tenant demand and its relationship. So if the tenant demand's not there, and you know that in a specific area you're gonna have potentially a 5, 6, 7, 10% void over the year, the problem with that is you've already taken on the wrong deal. Okay, and again, I think a lot of the heart of what KTR's question actually touches on is all around the right deal, if I put it that way. And what I mean by that is if you're taking on the right deal, even increasing margins for maintenance and increasing margins for voids will still make that deal look good, because the profit has to be significant for it to make sense for most people. And that's how I operate. So that's a great place to now segue into the second part of KTR's question. So in the second part of KTR's question, she states, what do I actually do? So for our voids, we put a 5% factor in for our voids. Okay, when we're doing our deal analyzer or our deal spreadsheets, we generally do our calculations on a 5% voids assessment. Now, the reason we do that is because, as I mentioned previously, we know the areas that we're investing in very well, and we know that they've got strong demand from tenants. They've got a very, very strong demand from tenants. Okay, so it's all about you looking at your predicament, you looking at the clientele you're dealing with, the tenant type, the avatar of those tenants, and also the kind of stock, the product you've got. What kind of property or properties have you got, and is it speaking to that strong tenant demand, or is it actually speaking to a weaker tenant demand? Okay, and I hope that makes sense. So again, I'll give you an example just to try and clarify this a little bit more for you guys. If you have a HMO property you've taken on a rent to rent, okay, like one of my coaching clients recently took on a HMO, a rent to rent HMO in the Reading area. And when the guy took on this HMO in the Reading area, the HMO was set up for students, okay, students in that area. And we did some due diligence, and what we basically found was that in that area there was a very, very strong demand for professional tenants. Okay, but the demand for students, as many of you guys who are watching this know, just radically dropped when all of the students were told to basically go back home by the government. So the reality is, in that scenario, you've got an asset, an opportunity, a property which has been utilized in a specific market for X amount of time, and now the climate of the market is changing. And because the climate of the market is changing, it creates the opportunity to start reassessing the market and saying, what is the best tenant type in this area? Who am I more likely to get a stronger demand from as I look at the various different tenant types that there are? And then you can start to pinpoint your finger and say, okay, this is it. I need to start operating this HMO for professional tenants, because as long as I keep it for students, one thing happens, students are told to go back home, and you now not have no deposits, you now have no tenants, you now have an empty property, but you still have to guarantee the rent. So with us on the voids, we do 5%. On the maintenance, however, we do something different. What we do is we do a rolling kitty, okay? And the way the rolling kitty basically works is we'll take a percentage each month and just roll it up and just hold on to it for the property when it gets into any kind of maintenance issues. Now, one of the challenges with that at times is when you first take on a deal. So we've had situations where we've first taken on a deal, and let's say, we have to wait till month 4 or month 6 or month 8 until we're fully paid back from the initial investment into the deal. So in those cases, month 4 to month 6, month 8, whichever month it may be in that scenario, the property account, if I put it that way, the financial balance sheet for that property is negative. So because the financial balance sheet is negative, the property isn't in a position to have profits that we are rolling towards or onto maintenance issues. Because in our mind, it's like, well, hold on a minute, this property hasn't made any money for us. The property's still paying back our original investment. So what we basically do is we'll allow the property to pay back its initial investment. Then straight after that, we would then take a percentage every single month or whatever it is from the revenue generated, putting that aside in order to ensure we have a cash buffer. And that is what safeguards us, that when something happens, we're kind of protected. So first part of your question, do I think it's steep? 10% voids, 10% maintenance. Answer to that, yes, I think it's steep. Second part of your question, KTR, what do I do myself? We are at 5% as it pertains to voids, and with maintenance we're usually even lower. We're usually around 3%, because the calculation we're making for maintenance is separate to the money we hold for maintenance, because the money we hold for maintenance is just considered as part of the process, is part of what we have as our internal system of when we onboard properties. So it's a bit of an intricate answer. Hopefully that answers your question. And again, thank you for asking the question. Thank you for having the question clearly articulated as well. It makes it much easier to be able to give value and share with you and with the guys on the YouTube. So guys, if you have any other questions, feel free to throw them in. If you haven't hit like already, feel free to hit the like button. Let the YouTube world know that this is content that's of value for people. And the moment you hit like, you're basically sending ripple effects throughout the YouTube world, telling YouTube this is the kind of stuff you think people on YouTube should be watching. And it just gives them that opportunity to basically go forward and share this and start showing this to people who maybe never would have thought about going into property, or maybe have thought about it. It's been a niggling thought, a niggling desire, and maybe even a thing they really want to drive towards, but they haven't yet. So guys, let's not be selfish with the value. Let's be those people that are hitting the like button, hitting the share button, so other people can get the same value too. Now, just going back into the chat, KTR said, thank you. Most welcome, KTR. It's a pleasure to serve the community. This is what we do. This is why we do it. So guys, we're getting to that point where we're going to be wrapping up soon. I would like to take a few more questions if you guys have any. Happy to take a couple of more questions. What other questions do you have? Let's keep going through our property Q&A. We're on episode 25, guys, and we are here for you. So let us know if you have any additional questions as it pertains to your property journey. Excellent. All right, cool. So it looks like no other questions have come in. So let me share with you guys a great opportunity that is coming up very, very soon. Next week, Wednesday, to be exact. Next week, Wednesday, we are going to be running a masterclass. As you can see right here, link is just here, www.impactproperties.co.uk/masterclass. This is another live masterclass, okay? I am getting inundated with questions where people are asking me, look, Samuel, can you do this on a webinar? Can you explain this? Can you share this, etc., etc.? So what we started to do is we tried to put on a few more live masterclasses where people can not only get the content and get the value of some of the things I'm sharing in this current climate of how we can take advantage in terms of moving forward in property investing, but side by side with that, also to kind of answer the questions of the community and the people that are jumping on the live show, who are not jumping on the live show but are jumping on the masterclasses. One of the things we're finding more and more with the masterclasses is we are having so many people who are brand new to property saying, you know what, I want to get started. What do I need to do? I want to get started. Where do I go? I want to get started. Show me how. So this is something we're going to be speaking about definitely in potentially future masterclasses. But for the rest of this year, you know, we've got just a couple of months left. We're going to be running a number of live masterclasses to help people move forward in their property journey. So again, if you haven't registered, feel free to register. This is taking place on Wednesday, the 7th of October, Wednesday, the 7th of October. And you can go to the link www.impactproperties.co.uk/masterclass, and whilst you jump onto that link, you're going to be able to register for the masterclass and basically move forward in your property journey. Now, let me just put this little shout out here. If you have been on any of our webinars, any of our masterclasses, and you have got value, let me know in the chat. Okay, let me know in the chat. Just write the 2 words "got value." That will be enough for me. So if you've ever been on a masterclass, if you've ever been on a webinar, if you've ever been on any of our live online presentations that we've ran before, that I've presented on, let me know in the chat if you've got value, so other people who haven't can understand the importance of potentially being on one of our masterclasses, being on one of our webinars, being on one of our live shows, so that they can really take advantage of what we're actually doing, because we've got so much value for you, especially in this current climate. Things are changing, guys, and things are changing swiftly. So we want to be the people that are helping you move forward in your property journey by giving you the keys, basically saying to you guys, look, if you do it like this, you can move and get through onto this. If you do this, you can understand this. If you take this activity or this opportunity, then this will open up for you. So I've got Kenya K, Kenya Q in the chat. Thank you, Kenya Q. You mentioned got value. Appreciate that. Anybody else? Let me know, guys. Let me know if you've ever been on a webinar, masterclass with myself, with the Impact Properties team, and you've got value, let us know. And again, guys, let me say this to you. These live masterclasses are live, and because they're live, they are value packed. So not only am I trying my best to come with new content every single time I'm on those masterclasses, but side by side with that, the questions that come in are unique. Every single question is always unique. And the reason why is because the people that are watching those masterclasses are unique individuals like yourself, like myself. These are unique human beings in different stages in their property journey, just asking the question, how do you do this? Just asking a question, what do I do about that? Asking a question, if my mindset is not in the right place, what do I do? You know, we had a great comment on the masterclass we ran this week, Monday. You know, someone just mentioned the word mindset, and they just said, you know, mindset is a challenge for many people. And as a result, we ended up speaking quite a bit about mindset. But this is the value of things like the masterclasses that we run. You know, when we do webinars, when we do things, guys, take full advantage of them. All right, we're doing the live show. We're on episode 25, week in, week out. People have asked questions week in, week out. People have said, look, I'm going to go get that key resource that you mentioned. Week in, week out, people are grabbing their sourcing blueprint. Week in, week out, people are looking for an answer, looking for a way to move forward in their property journey. And the reality is, we just want to help you guys. We want to help you guys do this. We want to help you guys move forward in your property investing. When I realized that property could be a viable approach, a viable way for me to radically change my life, guys, I jumped in with 2 hands and 2 feet like a Olympic swimmer. Okay, because I just said to myself, if I can make it in this industry, I am good for life. And guys, I'm telling you right now, I am grateful because I am good for life. And I'm now spending a lot of my time trying to help the next generation get good for life. And that's not just in terms of my children, but in terms of other people, other communities, other people's children, etc., etc. Part of that is the fact that I've recently been invited to be one of the coaches and teachers / mentors on a program that's actually coming out to help young people move forward by teaching them entrepreneurship. So I'm going to be speaking to them about property investing. And hopefully what we're going to be able to do is get that all recorded and offer that as value to our community as well. Because guys, all of this stuff, is to help you move forward. And if you utilize it, you can move forward. However, if you do not utilize it, it just becomes that whole, if only there was a time I could have. I remember when he said, but I don't know why I did, or I don't know why I didn't. And guys, I don't want that to be your case. I don't want that to be my case. I don't want that to be our case. I don't want it to be the case of our children or our next generation. And the only way I can guarantee that is by putting myself out here, making myself available, and saying to you guys, ask the questions. I'll come with my best answers. So guys, without further ado, it's a great pleasure to have been on the show with you guys throughout tonight's session. Again, as I mentioned, episode 25. What I want to encourage you to do is, if you have not done so already, go and hit the like, subscribe, and the bell notification. And side by side with that, go get yourself the key resource by going to www.impactproperties.co.uk/business secrets, and you can get the audio book absolutely free with your 30-day trial of Audible of the business secrets from the Bible. This is a resource that is going to massively help you in terms of your understanding of business, and especially as you relate it to property. And last but not least, as I've mentioned already, go take full advantage, guys. Be a part of our upcoming masterclass. All you need to do is register with the link right here, www.impactproperties.co.uk/masterclass. Thank you, KTR, for your comment. Great value. Appreciate you. And guys, we appreciate the community. This is why we do this, for the community of property investors that we're not only working with, but we're hoping to work with moving forward in the future. So without further ado, I'm Samuel Akanwin. I'm signing out. I want you guys to have a great day and happy investing. I'll see you on the next one.